Good morning yet again. Welcome back to what is now, I think, episode 3 of Breakfast with Ignite. But a slightly different format for you today. We will still be answering our community's burning questions. We'll do that later in the show. We're actually joined by 2 guests today. We have Carsten Klein, who some of you guys might know as the founder of Cornucopia, which is an exciting project which we'll let Carsten explain to you. But it's a project that will be partnering with the Ignite Ratings platform. And we have Sam Buxton joining us from Digital Asset Management, an exciting Gibraltar startup that, again, I'll let Sam give you guys the details on that.
Yeah, so great to have you guys here today. And like always, this is just like an open discussion. So we're just going to talk about what you're doing and what makes it so exciting. So Sam, would you like to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you're doing?
Sure. Well, first and foremost, thanks for having me. It's great to sit here locally in Gibraltar with like-minded individuals and also have like-minded people from around the world tuning in via Skype. It's an amazing setup. I love the office.
Cool.
So Digital Asset Management was founded in December 2017 by myself and my 2 partners, Thomas Johnson and Philip Vasquez. We were managing cryptocurrency assets and portfolios. It started mid-2016 for friends, family, extended friends, very casually. Of course, everything was unregulated, so it was fine. As we were getting closer to regulation in Gibraltar, the 3 of us came together because we were friends and we spoke a lot during meetups in Gibraltar as such. We decided to wrap our services up into a business offering, an official business offering, and try and pursue a DLT license in Gibraltar. So we officially incorporated in December 2017. We offer 3 services, which is portfolio management, where we invest your money into a basket of of digital assets rather. So there's discretionary, advisory, and execution only mandates under the portfolio management or wealth management service. We also have a fully operational cryptocurrency vault for institutional and individual investors. So our clients all have their assets sitting in our vault facility. And we also offer institutional storage for exchanges, funds, traditional companies, ICOs who want a percentage of the funds they raise locked up in a regulated environment. And then our third service offering is the over-the-counter exchange, where we provide liquidity for individuals that want to buy and sell in and out of cryptocurrencies with a minimum deal size of $5,000. And we're very humble. There's just 3 of us for now. We are going to be hiring in Q3 on the back of our license, on the back of being granted our license. We don't want to go ahead and scale the business now until we find out our positioning. Again, this is all very new. We all know that Gibraltar is one of the first jurisdictions to move on the licensing piece. So we're really just learning from the regulators, and the regulators are doing a very good job of learning from us. So hopefully it's definitely creating an environment where we're growing together, and it's exciting times.
Yeah, I think super cool that you guys have actually established an air-gapped cold storage vault in Gibraltar. So that's really sort of establishing Gibraltar as the crypto safe harbor that it wants to be. I think that's super cool, and for the jurisdiction and for those of us that are in the industry in Gibraltar.
Yeah, we believe so too. I mean, really, it's the foundation of this space. At least we believe it is. If we're going to have all these companies coming in and seeking regulation and setting up in Gibraltar for many of the good reasons that Gibraltar's offering, then we really want to at least keep a percentage of the assets in Gibraltar. It's no good a company coming in, well, at least we don't believe it would be a great idea for companies to come and set up shop here, but then have their assets stored in elsewhere. I don't know. It's if you compare it to the gaming industry and how that developed, at a certain point there were laws requiring some of these larger gaming companies, you guys must know from your backgrounds, requiring these gaming companies to hold a certain percentage of their data or servers in Gibraltar, and it's similar.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why it reminded me of those early days. That's why I thought it's actually quite cool. I can see history repeating itself, and it was a very exciting time for Gibraltar 10, 12 years ago when we were growing gaming, and now this for Gibraltar. It's just super exciting.
So So I just want to also introduce Carsten. And so Carsten, can you tell us a little bit about what you're doing, what your traditional business is, and how that's going to kind of foray into the crypto world?
Absolutely. And I also want to thank the entire Ignite team for giving me the opportunity to be here this morning and tell everybody about what we're up to. So basically, I've been in the pre-IPO space since 2011, and that was kind of really the beginning of it. 2011, one of the first companies that was available in the pre-IPO space was Facebook and LinkedIn, and that's when we really got involved. Before that, I had been a licensed broker since 2002. So when I got introduced to the pre-IPO space in 2011, I thought it was just an absolutely amazing opportunity for individual investors. And at that time, there was literally only one entity that was offering pre-IPO investments to individual investors. So once I started to work in the pre-IPO space in 2012, I just completely dropped everything I was doing in the financial brokerage side of things and to focus purely on pre-IPOs. And that's what I've been doing basically up until this year.
Okay.
And then I got intrigued and I got involved into the crypto space. And then as I was doing my research in the crypto space, I realized that there is no pre-IPO opportunity in the ICO space in the crypto world, and how cool would it be if we could take what is one of the best investment classes in the financial world and bring it to the ICO space. So that's basically what I look to do. Luckily, I mean, you guys over Ignite, and the area of expertise that I bring in the pre-IPO space is obviously there, but the thing that I was lacking was the technology. And that's obviously where you guys come in with the platform, the entire ecosystem that you've created with Ignite. And that's where the fundamental concept of Cornucopia came about, which is going to be, as far as I know, the truly first pre-IPO ICO that is in existence, that's going to give people in the crypto space the ability to own, great companies in the pre-IPO space, companies like Airbnb, Palantir, and a whole slew of other ones as well.
So Carsten, so just so our users understand like the difference between a pre-IPO and an actual IPO, can you just explain a little bit about what exactly is the difference there?
That's a great question. So this is a very important thing to differentiate because obviously everybody's familiar with an IPO. Everybody understands the pricing of an IPO. So in a traditional IPO, that pricing is determined by the bankers, right? So that's the the level that the bank that's been chosen to bring that company public will use that number. What a pre-IPO is basically we're trying to get the shares before even an IPO has been announced. So the way we normally do that is by approaching through our network employees of these various companies. So one of the big fundamental problems that we've had in the IPO space is historically companies would IPO year 5, 6, or 7. Now, it's not unusual to have a company remain private for 12 years.
Yeah.
So if you're one of these young engineers that is working at one of these companies, and obviously as a big part of your compensation package is they give you stock and stock options, warrants. And then what happens is, life occurs. You just graduated from Stanford, you got a great job at Palantir, you're making $120,000, $130,000 a year. You're getting all these stocks given to you, but you need to buy a house. You need money, and then that's where we come in, where we would go in and purchase the shares from the employee, and then the shares belong to us. And obviously, because we're buying them so early, we have much, much bigger upside potential than you would ever have on an IPO. So, for example, on a company like Palantir, the lowest we were buying Palantir at was $2.40, and that was back in 2012. Right now, those shares are trading at around $7-8 a share, but realistically, we think when that company IPOs, you're looking at least, let's say, about a $20 stock. So, potentially there we could have a 10x return because they've gone both in Palantir a few years ago.
So I think another, interesting thing to point out is, in the past I was trading a lot of IPOs, and the struggle always was to get an allocation. So even if you were the best client of Merrill Lynch and you called them up and say, hey, I want $150,000 worth of Facebook, or I want $2 million worth of Airbnb.
Join the queue.
Do you think I would have got any shares? You'd think that they'd be rushing to give them to me, but no. More often than not, I wouldn't even get a single allocation, or they would give me like a token allocation, like not a token in the crypto world, but like hey Chris, you're such a great client. Here's 250 shares for you. And it's like, oh, thank you. So the thing is that for the average investor, you would agree, Carsten, that they just have no exposure to this, even at the IPO level. It's impossible to get shares at the IPO level.
That's a very good point, and that's again, the big advantage of getting in pre-IPO, because ultimately, the allocations that we can get are the full allocations. So, if we need $2 or $3 million worth of a company, as long as we have the employee lined up with a VC or a fund that's going to be selling to us, we can get the full allocation. So, yeah, that's a very good point.
And so with Cornucopia, this is like an excellent thing I would imagine for some of your clients, Sam.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah. I mean, because like imagine you have a couple of clients that got in with you when you first started. Now Ethereum's peaking out at like $1,300 a coin, and they're saying to you like, hey, Sam, we've made a fortune on this coin. Do you think maybe we should put this in diversify a little bit? I guess up to now the only thing was Tether really that could hedge them against any downside. No.
Sure. So it's something that all wealth managers in the space are struggling with right now, just having a diversified portfolio of assets that isn't all positively correlated, because that's essentially how it is now.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what you've held in the last 3 to 4 months, you've suffered the results of the correction.
Yeah.
And I believe Cornucopia provides a viable solution for this, and we're going to see others in the next 12 to 24 months as a massive gap in the market. Asset-backed tokens, this definitely falls under an asset-backed token category, I believe, right?
Yeah.
And this is, again, one of the reasons why I'm here, because I'm speaking to 2 projects that have one token that's already listed, another token that's going to be listed very soon on the same platform, and this adds value to my clients, because at the end of the day, that's what we promise them. We promise that we're going to be speaking to teams, speaking to the right people with the right concepts.
Yeah.
Not just investing in.
I mean, I guess, in the traditional world, we're always looking for, non-correlated assets, So if we're all in stocks and stocks are skyrocketing, people want to move sideways into something else where they can at least hedge the downside. Maybe they're not going to get the massive upside, but they hold it in there, get some growth. And in crypto, it just doesn't exist. Right. I mean, you can park your money in Tether, but you're not going to earn anything from it. At best, you'll just be where you left off.
Tether's long overdue an implosion as well.
I think it's a little unclear.
Let's not discuss that one.
It's a little unclear on how they capitalize on it. So Carsten, so your product will be like, I guess, a U.S. dollar-based product, no? The coin itself will provide exposure to U.S. stocks. So how does that work?
Good. Yes, exactly. So obviously, the transactions that we're going to be doing will be done in USD. So the game plan is not to keep the Bitcoin and Ether and however people join the token in that currency, in that crypto, because obviously we're going to be purchasing in USD. So that's.
So you're gonna raise in Ethereum or Bitcoin payments, a number of currencies, and the assumption that I'm making is that you're gonna liquidate those positions, go into dollars, and then immediately start acquiring pre-IPO shares in some really great companies that are about to go public in the near future. And as you're using, and as you're using the Ignite platform, this will be like a very democratic decision from the community, because they're going to be, I guess they're going to be rating these pre-IPOs, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly. So basically, through that Ignite platform, what's going to happen is the token holders are going to be able to access the Ignite rating platform, and then from there, basically, via the community, via a rating system, be able to determine where we deploy the cash into the various different ideas and the different pre-IPOs that we have. And one of the things I wanted to make sure, just because obviously the way the pre-IPO space and the IPO space has been since the beginning of the year, you know, we had Zscaler go public, Dropbox, we just had Spotify go public. The space is really starting to warm up. And so one of the things I want to make sure is that we start deploying some of the capital immediately, because obviously if we're sitting in cash, we're not going to make anything. So that's why the initial concept here is when people subscribe, what will happen is they will be rating where we deploy the money immediately, so that this way, when the token rate, so that this way we're not just sending a bunch of cash.
Okay, so what you want to do is because you're working with us, and the Ignite platform will be live by the time before your token sale is finished. You want your token holders to be able to immediately log in, start rating assets, so that you can deploy that cash right away, and theoretically start actually generating a return from your token sale immediately, rather than it taking like months and months or even longer. You know, I mean, and this is an interesting point, because, you know, so much of the crypto market is purely based on speculative value. You know?
Certainly the token market, the token industry. It's where's this project going to be in 12 months' time? We're seeing some of the biggest ICOs and crowd sales of last summer still nowhere near a viable product.
Yeah.
And I mean, people talk about EOS are making great progress. We believe they've been in the news this week, telling everybody the progress they're making. It's very, very bold, some of the claims they're making. But we're still, I mean, it's the never-ending ICO, but we're still, you know, nearly a year on from when they first started collecting funds. And it's, I mean, obviously I'm slightly biased here, but I think the speed with which Ignite is trying to get to market with its product is pretty unprecedented in the space. If I'm looking at other projects that are similar or trying to achieve similar things.
I mean, that's the thing that always kind of shocks me, is that, you know, we look at some projects that are like top 20 coins, and they have a usable product, but I'm telling you, if it wasn't in crypto, some of these projects wouldn't even be worth like 10 grand.
No.
You know, and it's, you know, they have like 100 million plus valuations, and they're not even a really impressive platform at all. You know, something that probably, you know, could have been developed for a fraction of what their market cap is. You know. Yeah. So I think what Cornucopia is doing, what we're doing is actually really interesting, because we're giving a product to the market, which is not only is it live with the live technology, but it also is asset backed in a sense, because each token represents kind of like a stake in our overall capital base that can be deployed. You know?
So this is what I really like about Carsten's project Cornucopia, launching as early as it's going to, because Chris and I started this project always with the intention of using, we've been very public about it, about using cryptocurrencies and the ICO space as a proving ground for a wider technology with which it's ambitious, but within 5 to 10 years we hope we'll be taking on the traditional ratings industry, that's dominated by S&P, Moody's, etc. I mean, it's big and it's bold, but the fact that we have our very first use case here, probably 6 months sooner than you and I would have dreamt it coming to market, is, for me, that's really exciting. That yes, we're going to have the ICO ratings platform. I think that's going to be a great platform, but alongside it, we're going to have a pre-IPO rating product. So the same tech being deployed in a more traditional market. Yeah. It's so great we can actually improve and in fact prove the technology working in two different avenues.
Exactly.
I think that's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I think it's incredible. The other thing I wanted to touch on is some of the technology that's already in place. So Carsten, with PTN, you worked with T0, correct, on building that platform? Wasn't that the case?
Correct.
Yeah. And
right. So, yeah, I mean, the pre-IPO space since the beginning. So I know 2011 is only 7 years ago, but that really was the beginning of the pre-IPO space. So there's always been, three fundamental problems in the pre-IPO space. The first has always been liquidity. So, if you went to one of these big pre-IPO funds, one of these VC firms, one of the main issues is you would go in, you'd say, look, I'm interested in being in your fund. Some cases, they would give you the option of saying, hey, I want to invest in Dropbox. But then the issue would be that you could do that investment and then your capital could be locked up for 2 or 3 years. And if there was ever a situation where you needed liquidity, you were pretty much out of luck because they didn't have to provide you liquidity in that situation again. So that's another major advantage that, Cornucopia has, because it is the way we've structured it and it's just generally a token. It's going to be tradable, which obviously solves that problem immediately. Another problem in the pre-IPO space has always been the fees. So historically, the fees are through the roof. You usually pay anywhere from 2 to 5% on the way in. You pay a 2% management fee, and then you pay at least, let's say, a 10 to 20% back-end fee. And again, that's something that is alleviated through this ICO because half of those fees don't even exist. And then the third thing that has always been a big problem in the pre-IPO space has been the transparency of it. So in other words, you could talk to 6 different VC funds or 6 different pre-IPO funds, and you talk about one company and you get 6 vastly different prices. So when we saw this issue out there, we were lucky enough to be teamed up with T0 about 3 years ago. And basically what we decided to do was create a platform where basically the members could trade amongst themselves the membership interest of the underlying assets that the platform owned. And that's what PTN is. So basically PTN is along the lines of your traditional, let's say, E-Trade account. You get a username, a log on. When you're on your account, you can, buy and sell these pre-IPO companies amongst each other. So, that was really the beginning of it. But again, the issue for, let's say, most of your listeners is, and again, I don't know what percentage of them are accredited, but again, there's very high barriers to entry for some individuals to get involved in a company like PTN, where this is the nice thing about Cornucopia. If you're not accredited, but you know what, you still want to get involved in these pre-IPO opportunities, this is your way to do it.
Yeah, I think it opens a lot of doors for people who never had exposure to this before. So we're super excited to have it launch on the Ignite platform. Absolutely. And I think just to kind of wrap up the show today. Is there anything that you wanted to tell the world, Sam, to close off?
On the back of what we were just discussing, actually, I think investors are becoming more savvy now in this space. Mm-hmm. We're not just throwing money at anything, as we were 12 to 15 months ago.
3 months ago.
We're becoming more savvy, and investors and wealth managers such as ourselves, we certainly want to see a beta before we invest a percentage of our clients' money into any project. Yeah. And we've got a close eye on Ignite ratings.
Oh, good. Good to know. Good to know. Yeah.
As far as the market is concerned, I just want to offer some comfort for any investors that entered the market in December, January, February even. A lot of people in the space were expecting a very natural correction. Okay, maybe not to this extreme, but it's. I wouldn't be put off by it in any way. I'd hold long. This is a very early stage. This whole industry, it's in its early days, and hold for 3 to 5 years. Invest in projects with real people, real products, such as the two you're hearing of today. And if it's too technical for you and you want exposure to these two companies or a basket of companies that potentially have tremendous upside in the long term, then you can approach a company like Digital Asset Management Limited, Dam.gi, or others in industry to help you set up these portfolios. And we're not saying, invest 80% of your wealth into this. 1%, 2% of your overall portfolio, given exposure to the most volatile assets on the planet right now. It's exciting.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. This is very, very early days.
Yeah,
I mean, I think a lot
look
of
at the adoption curve. We're down.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
I mean, this is like internet back in 95. This is really, really early. So I mean, obviously you can look at the charts, and you see, pretty much something that doesn't look so nice. It looks kind of like a really dangerous ski slope right now. And this is not, giving anyone new to the market a lot of comfort, right? I mean, if you, like I'm hearing stories like back in December, people telling me they're entering crypto, and this is like waiters, taxi drivers, everyone, like
your
like
80-year-old uncle.
80-year-old uncle, like, he might not be 80, so if he watches this, he's somewhere between 72 and 80. I'm not sure exactly, but anyway, so yeah, I mean, guys who aren't necessarily your 20s and 30s, there's a lot of an older generation getting into the crypto space, and it's nothing like they're used to, right? I mean, these aren't stocks that like you have a 5% correction in a quarter, it's like, this is like 50% correction in a month, or even like a day for some stuff,
Yeah. So
it could be scary, right? And what would you say is what comfort could you give these type of investors?
Well, if we look at the total market cap today of the whole industry, as seen on CoinMarketCap.com, it's going to be around 250, 260 billion. I haven't checked today. It could be a little more, a little bit less. Circa that anyway. And you compare it to single entities in the world, such as, well, let's just go for the high-end blue chips, such as Amazon or Google, that have market caps of 703 billion was Google yesterday. We're talking about
entity. Yeah.
That's one entity that has a market cap of 700 billion. We're talking about an industry that has a market cap of 250 billion. Now, we believe that this industry is a multi-trillion dollar market.
Yeah, absolutely.
And positioning yourself with a correct portfolio, with assets that are backed by people and revolutionary concepts.
Not just pure vaporware.
Not just pure vaporware, not tokens that you've been spammed, you receive an inbox, oh, hey, this token is... No, like doing the research or letting third parties do the correct research to position yourself for what will be a multi-trillion dollar market. I'd say it's a no-brainer, but hey, I'm extremely biased.
Okay.
Well, I think, guys, Carsten, thank you very much for joining us from the other side of the planet. Sam, thank you for joining us from just down the road.
Thanks for having me.
Guys, thank you for joining us again. We'll move into the FAQ section now, maybe with a beer. See you guys shortly. Cheers.